favorite stories I like to tell in the Bible was with Abigail, right? So Abigail was a woman that was married to another man, right? She was married to this man named, I think it was like Nabal or something like that. Well, anyway, she was married to Nabal, and Nabal was not a good husband. Nabal was, the Bible even calls him a fool. So we already know the Bible calls him a fool. And essentially, David comes to Nabal's place and says, "Hey, can you help us out?" Because they had helped Nabal out before, and Nabal act like he ain't know nobody. And so he sends back David's men. David's upset. David said, "I'm taking the whole colony out." David said, "I'm taking the whole. I want everybody out of there. I'm burning everybody to the stakes. I'm taking everybody out. I'm taking names. I'm done." And this word gets back to his wife, Abigail. Well, Abigail's like, "Oh, Lord, here my husband. Here you go. Here he go, messing things up again. Let me go clean up this mess." So Abigail, in her wisdom, gathers all these things to meet with David's, like to go get to David before David gets to the house and gets to her husband. She meets him halfway. She's like, "I'm sorry, my husband, he be drinking, blah, 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 blah." All the things. So what happens is she goes back home, her husband drinking. He done had a party. She done saved his life. He over here having a party. So she's like, "Do you realize?" She's like, she waited, because she was a wise woman. She waited until he sobered up. And so in the morning, she says to Nabal, she said, "Do you realize what you did? You said this to David, and our whole situation was about to get toe up. You know how David is. David's temperamental." And in that instant, Nabal goes into a coma. As soon as she says that, because David's prayers was working, Nabal, like, his heart stops, and it says it goes into a coma, and he eventually passes away. Eventually passes away. And so David found out. And he was like, my God fight for me. The way my God fight for me is different. That's what David said. It was like literally 10 days later. David said, "See, that's what you get for saying God's anointed one, chosen one, whatever." And guess what he does? David goes out. He goes to Abigail. He said, "You know what? You was looking kind of fine when you met me halfway. So I know you're a widow now. You want to be my wife?" And he literally takes Nabal's wife. David was a sniper, baby. He was a sniper. David was a sniper. He was a sniper. He was a sniper. He said, "Oh, so you gonna disrespect me?" So he ended up passing away, and David, within days, married his wife. That's an okie doke for you. That's an okie doke. But again, that's David was a sniper, and that's my whole point when I'm saying when you shoot your shot. David could have been like, passive about it. He wasn't passive. He went straight to her door and said, "Come with me. Come with me, Abigail. You mine now. You a widow now. Come on over here. You my wife." And that was that. That was not the fall of David. That was the beginning of David. God was okay with him marrying Abigail, because Abigail was a virtuous woman. Abigail saved her husband's life. But unfortunately, Nabal was a fool. So again, you guys, I will say, there's a lot that I've said about David. And y'all know I love me some King David. I love the heart of David. It inspires me as a woman of God that wants to, aspires to have that type of relationship with God. Because David's seen some things, and David's emotional just like me. He showed it differently. He was more on the aggressive. Well, I'm aggressive, but he was taking people out of the planet. I wasn't doing that. However, David, the way that the relationship, the type of relationship he had with God, the connection he had with God was inspiring to me. And when I meet a King David, or when you meet a King David, they may not be a loud thing. It may not be a boastful thing. In fact, if you met David on the battlefield, you probably wouldn't have seen the fact that he had a relationship with God the way that he did. But you knew, based upon his whole, how he built his house, how he built his empire. He consulted God. Now, there was areas he was not the best in. Women is one of them. We know that. We know that that's how his kingdom, as far as it came to his kids, with his son, what's it called? His son sexually assaulting his sister. And then his other son, Absalom, coming after him and trying to destroy him. You know that David paid the price for his sins. But ultimately, he allowed himself to be subject to God's consequences. He's going to feel them anyway. But God at times would say, David, okay, what do you prefer? Do you prefer this consequence or that consequence? And David would choose. Situation with Bathsheba, he didn't get to choose. That just happened. He lost his son. And then his lineage was, dealt with a bit of stuff. A bit of turmoil, messiness, a lot of stuff. But the reality of it all is that we don't want, and I'm seeing this in the chat, and I want to really address this. Truthfully, I'm afraid of a healthy relationship. I've never been in one. Now, my thing is that because you're unhealthy? Because why wouldn't you want a healthy relationship? I know I want a healthy relationship. That's what I want. Shoot. I don't want to be in nothing unhealthy. You want to be in something toxic? Is there some? Because I believe this, y'all. If we're in toxic relationships, there's a part of us that resonates with toxic. If we're in a healthy relationship, there's a part of us that's healthy. And so we want healthier relationships. We want peace. I know I want peace. That's why I've been intentionally practicing how to be peaceful. Because I can be opinionated. I am somebody that has something to say. And I've got to work on that. That's a part of me. And so I've had to work on that. I've had to subject myself to people saying, okay, Sam, you're doing a little too much. Because ultimately, family, one thing that I have to just say, and this is for everybody on the live, I don't want fear to stop anybody on this live. One of the biggest things that I respect about David is that no matter how he felt, he still tried to honor God. I'm not saying he was perfect, but he was faithful. He was faithful to what God had called him to do. And he made mistakes, as we said, but he was faithful. And he continued to pursue his relationship with God. He didn't allow his mistakes to take him so far away from God that he needed that presence. He understood the power of his presence. And so I say that to you guys now. Don't allow your fear, your trauma, your past. David could have allowed all these things to get in the way of him becoming king. Right? David was a shepherd boy. David did not have, even his own father didn't see his value. His brothers bullied him. No one saw him being king ever. He ended up making it. He ended up going to the next level. That it just ended up being that way. David didn't allow those things, people talking down on him, Somebody he was his father figure, pursuing him and trying to take his life for years. The other king that had so much power, he did not allow this to stop him from pursuing purpose. He could have given up a long time ago. He could have said, I'm not going to become king. He could have said, God, I'm not going to pursue that. I'm not going to do this because I'm experiencing so much warfare. I'm going through so much. He could have allowed the painful circumstances that he was facing to stop him from becoming the king that we know about today. And he became the line of Jesus. Why? Not because he was a perfect man, because he was obedient. Not because he was a perfect man, but because he was faithful. Not because he was a perfect man, but because he was a warrior. Not because he was a perfect man, but because he had a heart for God. He had a heart, they said, a man after God's own heart. A lot of people keep saying to me, hey, listen, David is, do you want David? David is, it can be you and me. Because David is not predicated on perfection. David is predicated on when I get knocked down, when I put myself down, I still get up swinging. I still pursue purpose. I still chase what's for me. I don't allow the pain in my past or anything to stop me from pursuing what's mine. If it's mine, I'm going to get it. If it's mine, I'm conquering. If it's mine, I'm showing up to the fight. I'm not allowing anything that's happened to me in my past to stop me from pursuing what God has told me is mine. If there's a promised land, my name is on it. If there's something that I've got to do, I'm going to do it. If there's adversity that has shown up in my life, I'm going to keep on swinging. Y'all going to have to put me down because I'm going to keep on showing up. I'm not going to allow the aversive circumstances in my life to stop me from pursuing what God has for me. I might have done things wrong in my past, but I'm choosing God in my future. David did not allow the things of his past to stop him. That was what's beautiful about him. He didn't say, he could have said, I give up because I made it this way, or I give up because I went through this, or Saul's chasing me, or someone's after my life, or I got my heart broken this way, or I've been rejected by my family, or rejected by my brothers, or rejected by this, or turned down by that, or had to wait this long. No, David didn't stop. David didn't stop. David didn't stop. He understood purpose. He understood that if God was calling me to it, he gonna get me through it. If God was telling me something, that he was preparing me for the other side. He said, listen, I don't have to see it. I done seen God be faithful so many daggone times that I don't need to know how he's gonna get me out, but I know he's gonna get me out. I know that if God said all things are working for the good of those who love the Lord and are called according to their purpose, then I know that if it isn't good, it isn't God. If it isn't good, it's not done. Do not allow the pain of anything. David was he was resilient, family. He did not allow these things to stop him. Don't allow anything to stop you. I know the enemy wanted to get in the way of this live, and I want somebody to know right now. I know what he's been whispering in your ear. I know he's been telling you that you can't do it, that this is too much for you. You failed the last time. You're not going to make it again. You might as well stop. They're just going to turn you down. You're not made for that. You can't do it like that. You weren't raised by that. He's telling you all these sweet nothings. No one else has overcome this. No one else has been able to do it at this time, at this age. I want you to know something. There's a God on your side that's going to have something to say about your story. It doesn't end here. It starts here. That the adversity that you're facing, God is saying, listen, watch what I'm about to do. I need you to be obedient in this journey. I need you to put one foot in front of the other. I need you to not worry about what everybody else has to say. I want you to be so focused on what God is calling you to do that you don't stop, that you don't quit, that just like David, you get back up and you swing again. You swing again because you're a warrior. I don't care what anybody else has to say about you. You're a warrior. And God is giving you just enough to become exactly who he's called you to be. Yes, I know it doesn't look good. I know it doesn't. I know in my own life, it doesn't. But I also know that I serve a God that specializes in the impossible. I serve a God that creates the worst of circumstances to give a better story for him to get the glory. I know that whatever you're facing right now, there's a King David anointing that's pouring out on this life. I want you to be so locked in. I want you to be so courageous. I want you to be so bold. I want you to walk in it. I want you to run to it. I don't care what position you're in right now. God is with you, mighty warrior. Don't allow fear or disappointment or past trauma to keep you from what God, your name is on it. Your name is on it. The only thing the enemy can do, family, the only thing that the enemy can do is to convince you to not pursue it. That's the only thing the only way the enemy wins is if you stop. The only way the enemy wins if you procrastinate. The only way the enemy wins if you start, you know what, I'm going to settle in a wilderness when I know there's a promise saying my name on it. That's the only way the enemy wins. And family, there's a lot of different things in the world today that are teaching all different kinds of things, that are saying all different countercultural things, not only to women, but to men too. And I hope that with my platform and everything that I'm trying to do is to be a completely different voice in this world and be responsible with what God has given me. But I want to empower you today. Somebody on here needs to know that you're resilient. You've overcome greater odds. Be bold. Be courageous. Walk boldly in the promises God has for you. Walk boldly. Walk heavy. Walk heavy. Walk heavy. God's with you. God is with you. Hey guys, thank you for watching this video. I appreciate you guys. Go ahead, hit the subscribe button, y'all. Let's not just be every once in a while. Let's become family, okay? Friends that are family. Okay, join my family today.